Welcome back. Did you have a nice connections at lunch? Did you meet who met somebody new? Well, well, hold on. This side is better than you guys. So hold on. Again, for everybody, who met somebody new? They're still better than you. Or they raised their hands higher. Okay, well, very good. Who met somebody that they knew but they didn't expect? Me too. Nice. Okay, that's good. Okay, so who is ready for this afternoon? Okay, and now we are going for love stories. You didn't expect that, right? But this is exactly what we're going to do because the EIT Culture and Creativity wants to show love and to share its love stories, stories of partners, collaborators with public and also private organizations. So this is those type of guests who do not pop up last minute. They have been invited. They have been asked to share their love in a specific way. And they're going to pitch this to you to get ready for the benefit of the creative and cultural sectors and the industries and for the triple transitions. So I'm going to ask on stage the first one. I'm going to prepare the microphone. We're going to do this collectively. We're going to have 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4. They're all going to stay on stage so that you get the sense of community feeling and love, right? So cheer them up. I think some of them are shy, others are not. You will see. And I call on stage first Milena Stojeva, Junior Achievement Organization in Bulgaria. Yeah. There you go. Share the love.
Thank you. Actually, I want to tell you my love story that starts with the topic, love you all the way to the moon and back. And it goes back to the story that actually Annette shared, that we need to, when we think of the future, we need to think of the children. So thinking about the children, my passion has been education and entrepreneurship. And I belong to an organization which is called JA, Junior Achievement Worldwide, which was started more than 100 years ago, and which has been transforming the lives of young people through entrepreneurship education. And JA in my country, in Bulgaria, has been working to empower youth to change their lives and to see a brighter future through creativity in education for the last 25 years. When we started this, we thought we needed creativity to help us to empower the students in the schools. But at some point, we also realized that creativity needs us. And this is where we decided to start also an accelerator, where we have been helping with a vertical in culture and creative industries, helping people from this sector to have their companies started and to transform them to make an impact on the economy. So I have to tell you that it has been a road less traveled, and it hasn't been easy to cross-pollinate this sector and this model. But what we are seeing with this kick now is that we're building a highway. It's under construction, but it's going fast speed. And this is what I see the power of this community is going to do. It's going to create this space where the cultural and creative hubs will be networking and working together. And my last message is, we have been all bitten by the bug, the virus of entrepreneurship in this organization. So I hope that we can affect you with the virus of entrepreneurship, and instead of making people sick, make them happy and boost their energy for good.
Very good. Don't leave the microphone. This is great. So because you're going to give it to the next one.
Yes,
okay.
I know.
So I think that's a good bug, right?
Yes.
So, okay,
yes,
no, that's good.
Yes.
Okay, good bugs we like. That's great. Okay, so warm applause for the first one, first love story. We have a second love story coming up, and it is Alejandra Panighi from MediaPro, which is a global media corporation, right? So you're going to tell us a little bit more about your love story. Let's go. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Well, I represent the private industry. MediaPro is a big audiovisual group working for more than 30 years in the audiovisual industry. We have around 7,000 employees, and this means families in this creative sector. So my story is exactly the opposite of those of the startups. And this is the good thing, because established organizations as us, whether they are private or public, we have it difficult to integrate any disruptive or any new idea coming from a startup, because it is, even if we like it, it might be difficult to integrate it into our operations on a daily basis. So it works if we work together since the origin, since the beginning. And that's the point. That's why we joined this consortium in the early stage, because we have different ways of doing, different expectations. Here we find big people, small people, investors, private, public, academia, policymakers, all the ecosystem. And that's the good thing.
That's great.
This is the first instrument we find where we can work all together to make the creative sector evolve in a sustainable way and for the long run. That's the reason.
Okay, together for the long run. Everybody's for this. Yes. Good. Calling the third one, Elke Kaschel-Moni from the Goethe Institute. She's the Regional Director of Southwest Europe for the Goethe Institute, based in Brussels. So, here you go, Elke.
Hi. So, my love is cultural practice. Cultural practice, if done right, is about co-creation, mutual learning, trust. It's the weird and unexpected, as we heard this morning. It's the subversive, the disruptive, and the new third avant-garde ways of thinking things, of doing things. And I see all of this coming here together in this room today. There's so many creative minds here, physically, virtually, from different backgrounds. And really my utopia would be that we as an innovation community manage to transmit this spirit of cultural practice to other rooms, from this room to other sectors, to other ecosystems. Because if we succeed in doing so, if we succeed in connecting artists and creatives with the drivers of green and digital transition, if we succeed in nurturing creative partnerships within and beyond Europe, I think we're not only shooting for the moon, but we'll go straight to Mars.
Great. Wow. No. You keep it. You give it to the next one. This is great. Okay, so for a little bit more diversity on stage, let's call for a guy for once, right? So that's great because he has been already collaborating with Bernd Fesel for a while as part of the European Creative Business Network, but he's also part of the high-level roundtable of experts in cultural and creative industries here, and experts called by the ex-commissioner Maria Gabriel. And he's the director of creative industry in Kozice. Michal Ralti, please. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I just want to share where my love for culture creative industry is coming from. When I was 5 years old, I've seen my uncle drawing. He's an architect. He was drawing by his hand the houses, and it really fascinated me. And since I was 5, everyone who asked me, "What's your future?" I said, "I will be an architect." So fast forward, I studied architecture. And as a non-graduate student, I came to this bigger project, which is called European Capital of Culture. And I've learned that I don't have to be an architect, and using all my knowledge and culture creative industries to help my city. And that's where the second love is. It's my city. So on that journey, I met so many interesting people. I would like to thank those people, and I was part of many interesting projects, but now it's already 15, 16 years. Now I'm looking forward to another 15 years of this innovation and endeavor with EIT Creative Kick. So we're really looking forward.
Perfect. 50 years and beyond. And beyond. This is great. Thank you very much. The next one, I'm not going to say so much about Yuko Martkola from the University of Tartu because you will listen to this love story. Very interesting indeed. Yuko, you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. I bring you greetings from Estonia, one of the most digitally advanced countries in Europe. But I come from the music background, and when I heard about triangles, So this is what came in mind. But when we started putting together the applications, I learned that there's all kinds of triangles, like knowledge triangle. So it's education, innovation, business. But today is about love. And there's also love triangles. Usually what happens is that character A is in love with character B and C, and eventually has to decide. But in order to turn matters more complicated, we created several of those love triangles in this consortium. And when putting together the applications, there was, let's say, seduction and flirtation, but what do you think? Can it be turned into sustainable love story? Thanks.
Hey, that's great. I told you. I mean, come on, right? They're not only triangles. I mean, today we are in the era of polyamory also. So, you know, let's do this, right? We can do this. The next one is Ambra Trotto of RISE, the Research and Technology Center in Sweden. So, Ambra, can you top the triangle?
Yeah, it's a hard one now. I would like to say what I thought when I heard about the Moonshot event. So one of the things that they made us read at high school in Italy when I went to, when we were studying literature is Ariosto epic poem. It's the Orlando Furioso, the Orlando Mad. It was a product of the Renaissance, published in 1516. It was a horrible brick, but at the same time, there were few good elements. And hearing about the Moonshot event, I thought about one. So what happens, without getting into too many details, is that Orlando loses his mind, of course, for love. And his friend Astolfo, I don't know if it was part of the triangle or not, frankly, but he goes to the moon to get his sense back, because to the moon is where, in the moon is where everything that is lost is piled up and gathers. For all that on earth you've lost entirely, you'd find there if you but made the journey. And I always love this image. The moon as the place where you can find lost time, the tears of the lovers and their sighs, but also vani disegni che non han mai loco, which means unrealized projects. And in this Moonshot event, I wish that we go and gather a few things that seem that our society has lost. And we have heard many of them today. Our ability to create the unexpected, our courage to fail, to take risks, our ability of feeling part of something bigger than ourselves. But also our ability to dream and carry out those mad, crazy projects that we never could carry out. So the EIT Culture and Creativity, I think, is the perfect platform to go and get back those things. And we have started, thanks to this platform already, a few of those risky projects within our research institute in Sweden, and hopefully we can do more. And my wish for this adventure is that this Moonshot event shoots us to the moon, where we can get back those mad, unfinished plans and make them happen.
I love that. So poetic. Thank you. And now number 7, which is a lucky number, I think. So it's crazy. He's quite a character. He's a serial entrepreneur, businessman, angel investor into crypto, and he plays the ukulele. Yeah. Did you bring your ukulele? Yeah, no, I mean, they brought triangles and whatever, you know, like.
Next time.
You would have topped that with ukulele. Okay, yeah, George, please, okay. George Broxman, a game influencer.
Yes, hello. So I'm since 20 years now in the creative industries, to be precise, in gaming. And you have already heard it's a fascinating industry with boundless creativity, stories come alive, and fantasies are created. Yet the moment that really captured my heart started just 1.5 years ago, when the Games Forest Club came alive. And in the Games Forest Club, we now bring over 60 gaming companies together with forest restoration projects and carbon offsetting projects around the globe. And so we are bridging the colorful pixel world of gaming with the world of beautiful nature, and try to protect as much nature as we can in a playful way. So what really is fascinating to see how creative more and more companies are becoming in creating new stories, how to integrate their favorite project into their product, into their community, into their website, and into their games. So more and more companies, not only, especially from our sector, not only see climate change, for example, as a problem, so they see it as an opportunity for communication, opportunity for even making business. And this is why I deeply believe that we are the ones who can really create the change. And I'm looking forward to all upcoming narratives to really tackle the most pressing problems of our time. Thank you.
Fantastic. So look at these guys. They are the ones, you are the ones, said George. So I would say it's a match, right? So come together because there is a nice picture of you coming up. Yeah, come to the front. Don't be shy, but don't fall. And everybody can do this with the hashtag EIT creative culture. Creativity culture, sorry. Or shooting for the moon. Thank you to all of you. Thank you so much. Yes, give me this. This is great. And we're going to go further with a little Slido question, maybe, right? It's been a while. Let's have a Slido question, right? Can we have the next Slido question? Innovation is local, but success is global, right? So is your local ecosystem conducive enough to reach and create impact beyond local or regional scale? So I let you answer this question. Just a couple of seconds. We will debrief all of these together with Patricia later on, so that, you know, like the tension is all these questions with no answers yet. So give me your answers now, and then we will move forward. Because now we're going to have a great panel. And I'm really happy to say that we have 3 experts coming up on stage now, and they will be moderated by another expert, which is fantastic. So we will have on stage right now and I love the title of this session, At Least 1 Foot on the Ground. I mean, it's a very poetic way to say, like, you know, like there is a momentum here of risk and potential and possibilities, and this is what we're going to explore now and see what's coming up with these 3 experts, with Daniela Ferreira, Head of Community and National Front Sector in the Emilia-Romagna region. Yes, come on, you can come and take a seat already. We have Marcel Giboda, the Deputy Mayor of the city of Košice, Slovakia, and I would say he's a political scientist, which is interesting when you think of what Francesca was saying a little bit before. We have Karen Nielsen, Deputy Head of the Department of Art and Culture, Région Provence-Côte d'Azur in France. It's so good to see you. I mean, you know, I was living in Marseille before, and I spent my childhood in Nice, so I have a heart also here. And it will be moderated by Pierre Luigi Sacco, Professor of Economic Policy at the University of Chieti Pescara and Interim Director of the, do you have already on the microphone? AP10 EIT Culture and Creativity. I had to read that one. It looks scientific. Have fun, and I will see you in 56 minutes.
Thank you so much, and congratulations for pronouncing Chieti correctly, that almost nobody knows how to pronounce. So this is a really, really nice panel from my point of view, because this idea of putting 1 foot on the ground, I think is particularly important, especially for culture and creativity, because of course nobody doubts the fact that the cultural creative sector is able to have wonderful dreams and wonderful visions. I mean, we are famous for that. But the problem is, okay, but can you deliver? That's the difference. And this is where clearly we have to, in some sense, prove ourselves. And this is where probably also the success, the eventual success of this extremely ambitious project is gonna be decided. So from this point of view, one important aspect is that Europe has really made an enormous step in terms of putting one foot on the ground with a project like the EIT Culture and Creativity, not because of the sides, the financial sides of the program. There are programs that are much bigger in financial terms. But as far as I can tell, this is the most ambitious attempt at the global level to create a full-fledged ecosystem for culture and creativity. And this is something that, by the way, is making waves outside of Europe very quickly and very clearly. So it's extremely important for us to deliver, and especially it's extremely important for us to understand how to deliver. So the scope of this panel is really discussing concrete experiences of regions and cities that did it, but especially as a symbolic announcement of what would be one of the most ambitious flagship projects of this KIC, the creation of the Policy Club. So a peer learning community of policymakers to really understand together how to innovate, how to not simply change the rules of the game, but how to unleash the potential of culture in the many dimensions that were already discussed in the previous panels. Also for perspectives that are today pretty new and sometimes surprising, like, for example, as it was mentioned, behavioral change, tackling societal challenges from different angles, things that up to just a few years ago would have been unthinkable to imagine in a realistic agenda for cultural policymaking. So creating this community, peer learning community of policymakers will be extremely important, because that's the only way in which we can really create the synergies that are necessary to deliver, not as a collection of cities and regions, but as an ecosystem, which is the real challenge that we are facing. So let's consider together 3 experiences that are particularly telling in this regard. And it's my pleasure to start with Marcel Giboda, so with the city of Košice. Košice, I think, is a very, very interesting success story in many different regards. Not, not clearly sorry. One of those which are really, really remarkable, I think, is the fact that it's been one of the most successful European capitals of culture. And, the title is something that sounds very nice, but really delivering and changing the history, the trajectory, developmental trajectory of the city is a different story. And Košice, I think, largely proved that was possible, by the way, also in Eastern Europe, which, of course, has been a particularly interesting testing ground for the program. So Košice has been not only one of the most successful capitals of culture, it is now a collocation center of the KIC, as we already know. But at the same time, it's become one of the Eastern powerhouses of culture and creative sectors. What have been, to your opinion, Marcel, the crucial factors that are enabled Košice to embark on this successful trajectory? What kind of lessons learned you think could be shared to inspire other KIC-related cities to do the same, and of course regions as well?
Thank you very much. One, two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This works.
Thank you very much. And thank you once again for inviting me to this panel. I don't think that I am such an expert on a level as my colleagues, maybe, but on the terms when it comes to the municipality and the city and how the connection towards this success turned out, this successful story after 10 years, maybe on that later, yes. To create such an environment that was created in Košice, it is something that we were discussing it with Michal, because as Mr. Ehler were mentioning, many figures that helped to push this topic, to push this policy, to push this project towards creating really the EIT for culture and creative industries. The same thing could be said about Michal in Košice and about some of his peers who helped this project to gain traction,
to gain political support and to really shoot on to the moon, to not have the feet on the ground, I would say. But afterwards, yes, to really successfully implement this project and implement actually the change in the policy, how the city is viewing its cultural policy, because before that it was really weak. It was only handled by the city parts that we have too many of, and it was not so concentrated and not like focus driven. And for that we needed funds, for that we needed support of the government, and that created an ecosystem that also pushed us afterwards to be be a guarant of sustainability of that project. We to be able to change the infrastructure that we changed for European Capital of Culture, we needed European funds. And for that, the government created a scheme that said, like, for next 5 years, you have to uphold this infrastructure. So for the success of this Košice as a European capital of culture was actually this of a major thinking. But this is like hardware, the infrastructure, but you also need the software. And the great thing that happened was that city also created, thanks to Michal, a legacy organization, which is now Creative Industries Košice. And this legacy organization was educating, was promoting, was collaborating, was creating ecosystem within the city, also after the end of the European Capital of Culture, which helped this whole industry to grow, to get traction and to get attraction. Because this is the most important, to get attraction from the people and also from politicians. One of the programs that is still running, and this year it's coming to even higher volumes when it comes to the money, it's a grant scheme for non-officially created cultural houses or entrepreneurs in the city. We will be, next Sunday, we will be deciding who will be awarded what funds for what project. And this is a big help for the ecosystem inside of the city. But to get the political support behind that, also 5 years after the project of European City of Culture, and also 6 years, 7 years, and so on, it's an ongoing process. And for that, you need this attractivity. And I think from my perspective, it's really important for this sector to be able to promote itself and to sell this importance also to the policymakers. And this is something, because when I was discussing it with Michal, for example, before one committee meeting, and he brought me like many pages of successful stories and what they achieved. And I just narrow it down to the one number, like how many funds they can attract per €1 that city is investing into this organization. And this, to be frankly, like shut down all the discussion about why it's important to promote this organization. But it has even broader importance for our city. Creative Industries is currently seen inside of the city and also by other entities as a cluster, Košice IT Valley, as universities and other economical partners, as a player that brings this creativity to the city, that brings this attractiveness to the city, and that can help them attract more business or cooperation within their business. And this is something that it was mentioned by one of the colleagues, the city in Sweden, that if you don't have this, it's not nice to have, it's needed to have. So if you don't have it, you have to develop it. And the lesson learned is from me to identify on what level your city or your region is at, and then to apply such measures to get on a higher level. And the higher level is really the cooperation. In 2019, when we came to the city, to the power in the city, we were deciding on a new 5-year plan of economical and social development of the city. And as we were doing that, before that we passed the cultural policy, which was the first time that we passed it in the city council. Until then, the creative industries created it, but nobody wanted to pass it into the city council as official. And thanks to this process, I suggested with others to implement creative industries into creation of this social and economical development plan of the city. And they created something that was called a script for Košice. And the involvement through the culture creative sector and active citizens and this whole sector of people created, I think, or helped us to create a better plan. So suddenly we are seeing the change in this like approach. It's really hard. It's a really ongoing process when it comes to my colleagues in the city council. But we can say that organization as Creative Industries Košice brought many opportunities, European visibility to the city, and is creating space or city worth living in. And this is the most important, I would say, topic that we always are discussing, like what can we do to have the Košice more worth living in. We know what are the pros, we know where are the cons, and how to manage the cons, how to improve the city. And I'm happy that I can bring really the power of the creativity towards these policy creations.
Thank you so much, Marcel. I think that you made a very, very precise and important point, which is the construction of a real policy approach. In abstract terms, everybody has a policy. Every single city, even towns, even villages can have policies, but one thing is to declare to have one. One thing is to construct the real conditions for this to happen. So you showed very clearly to us also what was the process through which this took place. And the fact that it really built on delivering at certain level to just scale up to the next level. That's very interesting, which also because it shows how important political vision and leadership is from this point of view. Sometimes, it's difficult to, and you showed it very well, for example, when you mentioned how using strategically data figures at the right time in a credible and convincing way could tilt the scale also in some sense in terms of what is the momentum. And this is, I think, very inspiring also for many other regions and cities because this has been so far the problem, very much advocacy, little capacity to really bring the right argument that could be understandable from the point of view of the mind frames of stakeholders that are outside the cultural sphere. So from this point of view, I think this is one of the big lessons that we have to learn, not only for the Policy Club, but also for the future strategy of the EIT Culture and Creativity. So at this point, I'm coming to Karen Nielsen. The Région Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur has been one of the most dynamic regions in Europe as far as science and technology is concerned. I mean, it's famous for this, has become a global hub. But to what extent these achievements can be replicated in the cultural field? Do you envision this as a possible synergy between the regional investments in the science and technology and the cultural fields? And do you think that some closer dialogue between arts and culture and science and technology can be also a smart growth strategy for your region? And what are the other European regions that you consider as potential partners or interesting examples in this regard? Are there some of these partnerships already in place in your region?
Thank you for these questions. I start with the first one regarding our investment in science and technology. Well, being deputy head of the Arts and Culture department, I will answer with the investment in the arts and culture, because our region has a long story regarding arts and culture. Well, just we're speaking about innovation today. So one example of innovation should be Petrarch at the summit of Mont Ventoux, inventing the concept of landscape a long time ago. But that's innovation too. So this story with arts and culture now is one of the economic motors of our region. And the first step was to just get some data, some figures about the creative sector. And we commissioned a study on that subject, just to make it plain that arts and culture are one part of what are some of the policy instruments we have to mobilize to become a creative region, from a cultural region to a creative region. So the first step was to have this study commission and to have some figures. This showed that pre-COVID, the turnover was 4 billion euros regarding the creative industry, and nearly 50,000 jobs, which means these are a figure not regarding the touristic impact of culture on our territory. And that means that the cultural sector, the creative industry, is a leading sector in Région Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur. It's almost the same economic impact as the harbor economy. So, well, that was interesting, just to have this study show how important it is for us. The second step is just to question how we can transform these assets that we have. We have many festivals, 2.5 billion people coming to the festivals. We were speaking of Cannes this morning. That's just one of them. We have lots of artistic venues. We have a very fecund dialogue between artists and our territory. So how do we transform this cultural history into a creative future, and not just looking in the rear back mirror? So to do that, when you're in part of the policy making of a region, you have to go and discuss with your colleagues, because you cannot do that alone. I mean, art and culture investment is just part of it. We have the science of technology department, we have the economic department, and we have the higher education and research department. And that's why today I'm not speaking here only as the region representative, but also as member of a partnership foundation we created with 3 universities of our territory, Aix-Marseille Université, Avignon Université, and Université Côte d'Azur. And this is this partnership foundation that became a member of the KIC, because we wanted just to enlarge the vision and try to work with transversality of public policies. So maybe if I could sum this up, I would say it's like the, French traditional drama rules. We have one action, which means we need to have all the policy departments focused on this action for creative industries. One place. Regarding the one place topic, that means that we have several places where we have universities, business, and artists working together. We have the CISAM in Marseille, we have the Villa Créative in Avignon, and we have, for instance, the Campus Louis Méliès in Cannes, which are places where one place and, well, many actors working together and creating innovation. And well, we have one time, and I think the time is just now. And engaging in the KIC was a very important decision. I mean, it is really rare that our region creates a legal entity with partners, so that was very strong engagement. And it is now also developing relationships with other partners. I mean, with the with our collocation center in Barcelona, and developing relationships with other regions. And we are now developing Interreg programs regarding creative industry resilience with 8 other partners in the Sherry project, for instance, and we are joining the Policy Club, and we hope that we will learn many many ways to scale up our policy instruments just to help the creative sector to develop.
Thank you very much, Karen. And it's so important. I mean, in your discussion, it was so clear how important is this role of institutional facilitation that the region can create to implement these synergies, because I was just thinking, for example, of the capacity to coordinate 3 different universities from the same territory in this kind of bid. I mean, as a university professor, I know how complicated this can be sometimes, and how important it is to find, let's say, not only a shared vision, but also in this case, a shared plan for action, because what emerged very clearly is that in some sense, the mutual contamination between arts and science and technology has been a sort of a natural evolution of a process that has been, in some sense, strategically focused on innovation in the first place, and then, of course, coordinating these areas in an increasingly complementary way. This, I think, is particularly important, also considering the fact that, aiming for a stronger coordination between science and technology on one side and arts and creativity on the other side is becoming an increasingly popular, let's say, target for regional development policies, for example, in smart specialization strategies. But the fact of being able to actually deliver in this regard is not so obvious. So I think that the main lesson learned from this point of view can really be the role of, in some sense, the crucial importance of the institution, not just of, let's say, governing the process, but providing the right governance of the process, really in terms of, let's say, facilitating the kinds of attitudes and behaviors that make things happen. And so thank you very much. This is a very, very, very interesting lesson learned. And I'm coming now to Daniela. And the Emilia-Romagna region, speaking of resilience, we know how hard is the time that the region is actually experiencing now after this terrible, terrible flood. But from this point of view, so it's important to consider that the Emilia-Romagna region has been on the forefront of the integration between cultural participation and social cohesion. And there has been a very deep-seated experiences in many of these cities, not only the region, in terms of laboratories of cultural welfare. To what extent this orientation has led to a new definition of a welfare model in which culture plays an active role? And in your view, this orientation is a reflex of very special local conditions and history, or could become also a scalable model to other European regions? Are there specific projects that in particular you think exemplify the approach of Emilia-Romagna towards social cohesion through culture particularly well?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here because this is a great occasion also of learning and of discussing and comparing with other regions. So I'm really very happy of this occasion. When thinking about this panel and the role of the regions in this kind of policy, I focused on 3 words that, in my opinion, are those particularly relevant to represent the policy of Emilia-Romagna region regarding cultural and creative industries. And the 3 words, in my opinion, are continuity in the policy and in supporting also this policy, integration in terms of funds and in terms of policies, and partnership and participation. These are, in my opinion, the 3 key words that are that better can describe the policy that the region has implemented on this specific aspect of cultural and creative sector. Let's say that I was talking the first one, so that the continuity of the policy and the continuous support. As a region, we had the first law on cultural promotion adopted in 1994. And then after this, being the region, of course, first of all, an administrative body, so it has to create the condition, and let's call the legal conditions. So the legal framework was to be put in place, was to be set in order for this policy then to be deployed. So we had a lot of laws that starting from 1994, they have been adopted. We have a law on cinema, on music, on performing art, on library and museums, on cultural heritage. But you see that this law, I'm talking about, a policy, but also of vertical, aspect of a policy. Cinema, music, performing arts, each with its own legal framework, with its own law, which is a plus for certain point of view, but which needs to be, as you said before, it needs a strong governance also. Curiously enough, I was listening for the first time the colleague from the French region. If I had to mark a turning point in the policy, also for us, it has been a study that has been commissioned by a politician of the region who was in charge of the culture in general, and he commissioned this economic report on cultural and creative industries. This was called Orange Economy, and this report was a report meant to have an idea of how this sector is composed, not only in terms of how many companies and how many employees for companies and which kind of companies, but also this is a sector is very it's not very simple, and it's not like mechanics, it's not like motoristic or all other sectors so popular also in our region. So a study should be put in place in order to have this idea. And the study, the result of the study was of a sector very relevant for employment and also for social cohesion, because a number of creative companies were experiences coming also from the third sector, for example. So it was really very different in its composition. And the important thing is that in this study, also the value chain of the sector was studied. So we have a complete picture. This was so relevant, and so the sector was considered so relevant that it has been included, and this is, in my opinion, a second turning point, a second milestone in the policy, was the introduction of this sector in the smart specialization strategy of our region. So we had, with other areas of specialization, cultural creative industries was one of them. So, and it was included in the sector with an important and crucial growth potential. So this why is so important and why it's so crucial, in my opinion, because this allowed also this sector to be to have a peculiarity also in all the cohesion policies that in a way support it, no? the policy, both from investment side, so with the ERDF, with the regional fund, but also with the ESF, with the social fund, funding skills and competencies in this sector. And so this was so relevant, and we are always putting wall on wall, let's say, that we, in the smart specialization strategy of the period 2014-2020, we set up the so-called cluster of the strategy, that are the main actors of the governance of our smart specialization strategy and of our ecosystem of regional and innovation. And we created a cluster specific on culture, and this cluster is called Create, and this has been, let's say, the place where clusters are composed of, are made of research organizations, institutions, of companies, of training institutions. And so this was really the place where the policy on cultural and creative companies and sector in a larger way was developed. And this was exactly when another word was considered so important, that is innovation. So there could be, there should be innovation, research and innovation also in culture and creative sector. So it was really a turning point also on this. I talk also of participation and partnership. Participation and partnership are two characteristics of the region, of the Emilia-Romagna region, which was the first Italian region to issue a law on participation. And all the practices, all the policies are participated, and we have a specific, let's call strategy for participation, that is what we call the Pact for Work and Climate. That is the word pact, in my opinion, is very symbolic, because it's not only we share different stakeholders that share a strategy. It's something more than sharing only a strategy. It's being part, is feeling part of a strategy and of sharing objectives of that strategy. And one of the most important objectives set in this Pact for Work and Climate was, again, culture and creativity. So I think that we made, let's say, we scale up the policy, let's say, and this is why also in the new smart specialization strategy for the period 21-27 that we are now implementing, again, culture and creativity is a sector of specialization, but with a new approach that is an approach much more oriented to societal, to social challenges, and in a more, let's say, cross-sectorial, multidisciplinary dimension. That is something that is characterizing this new part of the strategy.
Well, thank you very much. And I think, Daniela, that it's, first of all, it's very interesting, this attention that the Regione Emilia-Romagna gave to the orange economy idea that, interestingly, was originally developed in Colombia. So it's interesting that, you know, sometimes Europe also has this capacity to broaden, in some sense, the the picture. And I think that also
Madam.
for the future of the KIC, it will be extremely important, not just to look at our belly button, but really to understand that today there is a huge, incredible effort also from the Global South to work on new, interesting concepts of cultural development. A very, very important point of your presentation, in my opinion, is really to show the potential of well-used cohesion policy. So we, as Europeans, we tend to take for granted cohesion policy. In regional science, there is a fierce debate on whether or not cohesion policy is useful. Sometimes people say it's even detrimental. It didn't really get so important results. But I think that at least in the cultural field, where we have, let's say, a well-targeted and time-consistent use of cohesion policy, like in the case of Emilia-Romagna and cultural policy in particular, we have a clear evidence that this can work really, really well. And by the way, I can also testify to this because in my previous capacity as a senior advisor to the OECD, we made an in-depth analysis of the culture and creative economy in Emilia-Romagna, and really the results were outstanding also for the very demanding OECD standards. So, well, I think that we have had a very, very interesting and stimulating panorama of let's say, successful approaches, and in particular, a very, very important lesson learned. But at this point, I would like to have a second very quick round to discuss what are, in your opinion, at this point, the, let's say, the future challenges, the future perspectives, if we really want to scale up as a sector, also starting from your experience. What are, let's say, the weaknesses that need to go, and what is the untapped potential we have to really consider now to go the extra mile and to shoot to the moon? So, Marcel.
Can you hear me? Okay. To add on these values that were already built, I would say, again, on experience from Košice. In these regards, it's something that we are still not managing quite well. It's how to bring this not only knowledge, but this what we've built in the center of the region in Košice, to bring it outside of the center into the region more effectively. And so that also the cultural operators, that they would see that they are strong within the city, but to have the support from the region, for example, to provide something on the other hand, to showcase that, yeah, we are not mattering in the center, but also we are providing some help and bringing, for example, the culture also to the region. And for that, this is a like underlying topic that is, because I'm also responsible for organization for tourist promotion of Košice, Visit Košice, and this is a question of cooperation. It's really hard. I see it in both of those sectors, to bring the partners, the stakeholders, the different entities to change the perspective, to think a little bit more about how to create added value, which is coming from cooperation. We have big, for example, festivals and so on, and now we started a commission special from experts from different fields, how we can add additional value, for example, to the festival Nuit Blanche, which started in Košice. A student brought it before European Capital of Culture from Paris, started it very successfully in Košice. Then we exported it to Bratislava, which is the capital. But nowadays we are facing the problem that the sponsors are in Bratislava, not in Košice. So how to keep it also in Košice, and how to add the value when the city, when the region is investing in such a festival, how to create added value of additional tourists, additional visitors, and so on. So to break this barrier and to change this narrative inside of the heads of the people, that we should like look on how can I add value to my event with more cooperation. And this is maybe one of the not challenges, but something that we can work on. But the bigger challenge is like, and it was again mentioned already on this stage, is the youth. Like what's actually what the youth use as important topics, how to bring them to the topics and problems or actual events that are like stakeholders inside of the city cultural life, and how to bring them, because this was also a big barrier, how to bring creative people inside to the city. Because the previous administration, they created such an environment that they were pushing out everybody who was bringing something new. So it took me, for example, 2 years to bring one colleague of Michal to work for the city. And he is such a creative man that he doesn't even have an office inside the city hall. So, and everybody's asking, where is he seated? He doesn't need to have a seat inside of the city hall, and he's working on a really great project, Net Zero Cities and others, which we are part of as of last year. But actually, this was also, and it's a big challenge, how to bring new young people inside of this policy making like underdoings, and how to bring them to be part of it, and how to better understand where we want to develop as a city, and how to create. And this is, I don't know, I see it maybe a little bit more as a topic of Eastern European countries, how to create this sense of belonging, of being a part of something. Because this is this big disconnect, then the people are like enclosing themselves into bubbles. The COVID situation didn't help the case. And now how to create again the connectivity to the communities, to the local communities, to the whole city, to the whole region, and to be like a real integral part of that.
Well, thank you, Marcel, for wonderfully summarizing some of the biggest challenges that we will have to face with the Policy Club. That's exactly the point. Not to perceive itself as a sort of closed circle of, let's say, usual people, usual suspects working on policies, but really something that is also open to the creative energy of the youth. By the way, this is one of the interesting things about the EIT Culture and Creativity. Of course, you need, let's say, young blood and young ideas everywhere. But one thing is to do it in manufacturing and raw materials, in which to really have the possibility to capitalize on the perspective of young people, you need a long way. But in the case of culture and creativity, I mean, this can really become a game changer. So the fact that, I mean, you stress so much the potential role of the youth also in driving the change, also in terms of the policy agenda, is a fantastic point, and thank you for raising this. Karen.
Yeah, thank you. Many important things were said already. You were speaking about new narratives, and narratives, I think, is just the core topic we will have to tackle in the next years, because, well, technology and science, they will bring innovation of one kind. When we are funding the artists, we are funding kind of research and development for the cultural part. And if you bring technology, but you don't have the proper way to embody this technology and to give it flesh with new narrations, then the technology is not that useful, I think. Well, one of the main subjects will be how these technologies can lead to new narratives, new sensitive experiences, and just, well, sometimes, I won't give names, but sometimes you have technologies being gadgets, you know, to artistic creations. So that's one of the topics. But narratives, they don't stop with technology issue. Narratives are also for territories. Okay, I make it clear. No, okay. Narratives are also for territories. You were narrating us the story of Kozice, European Capital of Culture, and I think that's very important. The world is not flat, especially regarding arts and culture, and so we have to build new narratives regarding the places and the way we inhabit these places. So that's very important too. Another topic, I spoke about cross collaboration. That's very important too. That means eventually new methodology. I give you just one example if I still have the time. I wanted to bring a novelty to a high school award we found regarding the best literature of the year, the Goncourt Prize, Goncourt Award for the high school students of our region. And I couldn't bring anything new, so we had to change the methodology. I tried to bring designing the award with the students. And that's how we could bring novelty, and that's how we could completely change the way we were operating this award. So this is important too. We have to demanding public and audiences, and we have to invite them in the process to tackle all these issues.
Thank you, Karen. Another amazing point. We do not need to fall for this techno hype that is driving today so much the development of creative sectors, and it sometimes is also failing apparently irresistible innovation models. We are seeing how close the circle can be in terms of, let's say, development to failure for things like, not necessarily failure the metaverse, but certainly a very critical condition after a few months' time. And now, of course, the hype of artificial intelligence. We always have to remember that it's really the social dynamics that is behind an innovation and a technology that is what really matters. Thank you for this wonderful insight. And Daniela.
Yes, so most have been already said by my colleagues so well. So I think that I completely agree with the fact that we need to work on the research and innovation. We are working in our region on research and innovation. We have research laboratories working on creative culture and creativity. We have set up an observatory for the sector because the sector is evolving continuously. So having also feedbacks of how this, through data, how this sector is evolving is quite important in order to adjust also the policies for this changing. But still, I think that something that is really needed also for this kind of companies is, and for this kind of sector, is something in which they can, in which the companies can, let's say, can be, can recognize themselves. So we are working a lot also on spaces and on areas. We are, for example, inaugurating in a short time the new regional hub dedicated to culture and creativity. So because we think that of course they need space for their work, but they need contamination, they need to be put in contacts one with each other, because this sector is really very heterogeneous, but this is also the richness of the sector. And also trying to, with the support of the new techniques and innovation, including in this sector, and using this sector more and more also for social targets or for social projects is very important. We made a different experience, we as well, of design thinking, for example, where we used for designing services of the public administration, where we used companies coming from the creative sector, and it was a real great success. So mixing the new technologies and the new approaches with innovation and with the the awareness of this sector to be a sector and to recognize in a sector, in my opinion, are 3 points that are important, and this our what we are working for in the next future.
Well, thank you very much. By the way, this also creates a very, very strong emphasis towards the connection between administrative activity and innovation itself. And it's not incidental that actually the Policy Club will be presented in Berlin within the context of the Festival of Creative Bureaucracy on June 15. So, I mean, this really closes the circle. So, ce n'est pas qu'un début. This is just the beginning of a very, very interesting example of how the Policy Club can really develop this cross-contamination of ideas. But with this panel, we hope to have shown to you that keeping at least one foot on the ground is not a way to stay away from the moon, but to get closer to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure that we have no questions in the audience. Any questions? You said it all. Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I wish, Pierre, I wish I had a fireside chat with you to talk about the failure of the metaverse.
Okay.
I would challenge that.
That would be interesting.
That would be great. Shall we do that? No,
Absolutely.
okay. No, not Thank you, guys. That was very good. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Yes, thanks. Okay, so, actually, no, I think that my next guest has already a microphone, so I'm going to switch that off. And so, how do you feel? We're going to go now a little bit further. I think it was a very nice, at least 1 foot on the ground. So keep both feet on the ground now, because we're going to have a very specific format now. We're going to go back to all the questions, and I want to hear you too. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you on stage. Don't worry. It's all good, because I have already somebody on stage who has been a great ally for me to prep this moderation. It has been one of the best briefing I ever had to moderate a conference. So I would say that Patricia Castillo, you and your team, you rock, really, I must say. She's the interim Chief Communication and Engagement Officer here of the EIT Culture and Creativity. And I must say, it was so perfectly organized. I would say, let's have a little chat together, right? We want to know, and maybe they can show us a couple of results. And actually, I think I made some shots. It's on my phone. I'm coming back in a second. Sorry, too many devices, I would say. Let's go back. That's good that... because I did some secret shots of the results in between. Yes, that's why. So I have them all on my phone, and you already remember the first one. Everybody was coming from everywhere in Europe. We don't need to have that one, right? You remember? I mean, at the end, I had this. I had Vienna, Romania, Bolivia, Netherlands, Norway, Barcelona, USA. That was fantastic. I mean, the people are still online, right? I mean, okay, so that's great. We read that right. So that's really amazing. It's beyond the European borders, right? So
absolutely, we are delighted to have people from everywhere, and this is what the kick is about. It's about pan-European community, a growing partnership across Europe and hopefully beyond.
Yes, so that's really, I mean, I was really surprised. So can we have actually the results on the screen to see what happened with all the next questions? So the second question was, how optimistic are you about the future of European cultural and creative industries and sectors?
Oh, we have a tie.
Okay, so our time has finally come, is winning with... Do I have the same figures than you have? Somebody has been cheating and adding some more thing, because I had... Can we have the results again, please? That was a little bit too fast for me.
I will not touch anything here.
Yes, because we can also monitor this, but I didn't answer. I didn't say anything.
Okay.
So yeah, actually I had 34%. Our time has finally come a minute ago. Somebody was changing their mind. But that's really interesting. What do you think about this also optimism? Are you optimistic yourself?
I am absolutely optimistic.
Yeah?
And I think optimism is an imperative now. That we don't have time for pessimism in the situation that we are. So,
I like
yes,
that.
I am optimistic. And I am wondering whether you are still feeling optimistic after all that you have heard today.
Oh, yeah, I would love to have that. I love this. Okay, so raise your hands. Who is still optimistic? Please, let's beat this 33% here. Come on, like optimistic? Like really, like, yeah. Yeah, good, okay. So what about like, yeah, let us see how it goes? Nobody dares, though. You're the only one now in the room?
Joanne, come on.
Okay, no, it's okay. Fair enough. We need those people also. Because it is, I think it is like in this debate that we get this creativity also. When you want also to prove somebody wrong, you're like, no, come on, we can make it. I'm not going to go down to the questions. No, like, we need positive signals. Let us see. No, whatever. No. So, okay, so they are optimistic now. That's really a good one. Okay, so what was the next question? Can we have the new figures? Because obviously mine are obsolete already. The next question was, hold on, I have it here. How do you feel about using similar mechanisms to support both the profit and non-profit ventures in our sector?
Wow. This is a very important
I can throw
result.
this away. Yes, exactly. I can throw this away. It doesn't work anymore. Okay, so wow, that's really good because I really thought like there is still some way to go, 45%. But this is really interesting. Yes.
You know, it's very interesting that this is the most voted answer because we will need a lot of rewiring, but it is the way to go. And since the very beginning that EIT Culture and Creativity has put itself out there, we have found every time constructive messages from all parts of our stakeholders that they had this common thread of we need to reclaim meanings. We need to reclaim words and words that usually has brought the sectors apart, like revenue, business, non-profit, cultural, or social innovation. We need to reclaim this meaning so they work for both parts of the section, the sectors. So maybe someone has
an idea.
Who
has an idea about this? I mean, or who is already maybe doing it, like a best practice? I mean, I know there are a lot of regions here, a lot of cities too. So who would like to share an experience? I can't see anyone. Come on. Anyone? We have a microphone in the room. It would be nice to have some ideas to share, like little snaps. It doesn't have to be elaborated things, but no one?
Oh, we're shy today.
They are really shy. Okay, well then, let's go to the next question. I will get them to the next question. So, okay, the next question was, hold on. Can we have the next question already? Yes. Innovation is local, exactly, but success is global. I'm also, again, comparing my results. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, it takes some time and persistence, but it is doable. Are you actually surprised by these results, or?
Not really,
no?
Not really. And I think it connects very well with what we need to do at CLC level, at the co-location center. As you know, EIT Culture and Creativity will have, from the offset, 6 co-location centers based in 6 different cities of Europe. And these co-locations, and eventually they will grow. And the idea behind these co-location centers is that to be close to the ground, to set the appropriate routes, to meet the stakeholders from across all these transnational regions. So this is actually good news for the co-location centers because it says, look, there are some things around there. We will make markets and will make outreach possible and conducive. And maybe we should hear what are those things missing that it seems like there's not so much to do?
Yeah, but 10% have been answering, yes, indeed, there is a well-coordinated support system and market connectivity that make it possible. Who answered that? Who believes that there is this system? 10%. I mean, I should see. Yes, I see a no.
Oh, come on.
Are you shy or? I mean, do you know? I mean, like it's like we're all great experts in this room. It's a great moment to share. So it's not about don't be shy. You can come here also and chat with us. You know, no, really. I mean, it's something which is very modern today also to be inclusive on stage. I mean, I don't want to exclude anyone. So if somebody would like to come on stage, let's have a little chat. I mean, I don't. Do you bite? I don't bite.
No.
So we don't bite. You could try with us. Okay, well. But no, but I would be really interesting to hear like what sort of ideas and best practices you've been seeing or you would like really to experiment, you know, and share with the audience. And I mean, there is no way to fail on that one because it is really it's a rare moment to have so many experts to share an idea. And I can't believe that no one has a good idea on that one. Go beyond your local and regional system. Who doesn't want that? Okay, well.
So we move forward.
Okay, let's go to the next question. I mean, we have a couple of questions for you as a reserve, so to speak, right? So can we launch this directly? And people from the online audience, you're the greatest because obviously it seems that you are answering. So please, everybody's answering. So let's go to the next question. It's new, you haven't seen it yet. What is the next one?
Imagine funds and funding are not an issue. So it's not about money, right?
I love that one.
In one word, what is the main obstacle hindering CCSI innovation potential and competitiveness? No funds, anything but funds.
That's a good one. And we can have a word cloud. So you can, what is your first idea when you are imagining, you know, these questions of coaches, sometimes like imagine you don't have any money problem, you don't have any time problem. What would you do? So here it's a little bit something like imagine funds and funding are not an issue. There is an unlimited supply of funds. So what would you do in one word? What is, first, what is the main obstacle to hinder the innovation and potential to start with? Yes, exactly. Oh, we have ego on it. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I like these answers. Give it to us. This is great. What is the main obstacle? I think we leave them a couple of seconds, right? I want to see everything.
Yeah.
Let's get creative now, please. They don't want to come on stage, but when they are on their
anonymity, you know.
Yeah, on their tablets and etc. And you know the thing is like they're all on tablets, and then they're like, oh, but you know it's too virtual these days. We have too much tech. Let's be human. Come on, we gave you the chance. Okay, so wow. I'm like, it's really interesting because, silos is still the greatest one. Conservatism is still big. Ego is getting momentum. I'm like, I think it's, lack of cooperation. Politics, is that a bomb next to, no, it's a cherry. What is it next to politics? Oh.
It's a sloth, I think.
Oh!
Yeah.
I didn't know that symbol. Okay, secrecy is interesting. Secrecy sounds like manipulation or something. But anyway, secrets. Oh, wow. Okay, a lot of secrets. Secrets. See, I wanted to share secrets and okay, well, okay, good. Neoliberalism, fear to share.
Yeah, not looking at anyone.
Yeah, not looking at anyone. Okay. Ego is getting smaller. We still have politics getting bigger, mindset. Okay, I give you now 20 seconds left. And then we freeze this picture. Trust is still in the middle, right? 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3. Pressure works, right? 2, 1. 0. Okay. Okay. Silos. Here we are. Okay, so that's interesting. So that was the main point. I mean, to be honest, I am surprised about the secrecy and secret stuff.
Yeah.
No, really. I mean, well, I'm not surprised because you don't want to share, right? So, you know, when they say you want to change something, start to change yourself. No, I'm just saying you still can come. There are 3 seats left. You know what? I did that to a conference recently. And then pretty much at the end of the thing, maybe we had 15 minutes left. Somebody from the back of the room, a strong woman on heels, came, and you could hear like, we saw her move on the room like, whoa. And then she said, I have something to share. And it was a great thing. So please feel free. Don't be afraid. I still want to have this open stage. Okay, good. I'm surprised of the secret. To be honest, it's something which is like also striking me. And please let us change that. So, and now let's go to the next point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Should we move on?
Yeah, because we don't want to discuss so much about what's going wrong, right? So next one is
the second question. The next one is similar to the first one, right? Let's take funds out of the picture, and then in one word, what is the key to unleash CCSI innovation potential and competitiveness? So we move.
Yes,
to the positive way.
Exactly. What is going to boost it? What is going to make us all thrive in the sector? What is really what we need to move forward? Now I'm curious. Now I want to hear these best practices and ideas that we didn't hear before. I told you we would get you, right? So give it to us. Please, in one word only, what is the key to unleash the innovation potential and competitiveness in the sector? Yeah, that's great. Collaboration. And the good thing is, what I think is really great is like they don't really communicate with themselves.
Yeah.
Right? And they still have the same ideas. That's good. Trust, good.
You know, I like courage.
Yeah.
I once read, I don't remember when I read it, that courage is a matter of practice. And you have to practice courage every day, a little.
Like a muscle.
Exactly.
I like that.
And that stick always with me. Courage is a matter of practice.
I saw once courage, it was a little drawing, and you had a little figure in front of an audience, like you. And then you could see that this little figure had taken a mask off and was showing itself on the stage. That was really a very nice picture also. And this was called Courage. I'm not sure if it was a TED talk or something like that. Okay, so hope, courage, collaboration. Collaboration is really going strong. Trust, freedom. Okay, shared vision. That's really good. We're going to freeze this afterward. This is really great. We could make a conference about that, right?
Yeah. Am I seeing a heart there? Is that a heart? Yeah.
Oh, it's a heart.
An icon.
Yes. Was it somebody from here? Well, because they were inspired because of the love stories, right? I like that one. Okay, so long-term vision. So a lot of shared vision, long-term vision. That's really great. Openness, no fear. That's cool. Scale, sharing best practices. No, I was just saying. We tried, right?
We are trying.
We're trying everything.
I am loving seeing co-creation here too. This kick was built during the application phase with very strong co-creation, and we are still bringing this into the table, and hopefully by the end of this year we will have the first minimum viable system for an online community of our members, in which we can also share, we can trust, and we can build together and deliberate important topics that the KIC needs to address. So I am loving to see here.
Okay, no, I want to see this too. So let us see. Oh, they're getting really creative now. We have little symbols everywhere. I love that. And you know what my favorite is? Oh, there is even a unicorn. But look at these guys dancing. I love that one. This is really cool. I love that. So can you top it? I give you 10 last seconds. What do we need? So unicorn, dancing, butterflies, rockets, meaning like getting fire, right? Like getting into it with a little bit of playful fun. Yeah? Well, you don't look like it. No, I'm sorry to say. I'm like, do we want this? Good. Ah, we're getting there. We're getting there. So we still have one last question.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to check. Yeah. So now, I mean, don't tell me I tried to manipulate you now, right? I tried.
Yeah. For the guys back there, the last question is not the last question in the slide, though. It's the one that says EIT Culture and Creativity puts CCSI in. Okay? Okay.
Okay, you know better. You ask the question.
Yes.
Ask the question.
Okay, so the question is actually, EIT Culture and Creativity puts CCSI in the driver's seat of Europe's triple transition, invests in companies, and uses business language for social and artistic driven ventures. The question is, how stimulating do you find this scenario?
Okay. We leave you 10 further seconds.
Oh, this is so great.
Ah, yes, I like this one.
Oh.
Listen, it's in the driver's seat, right? It's not anything. In the driver's seat of Europe's triple transition. Invest in companies. Uses business language for social and artistic-driven ventures. Artistic-driven ventures, I like that. I like that. How stimulating do you find this scenario? Okay. 10 last seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, time is counted. 0. Okay, good. Ah, okay. Well, that was a good one. You could change. You could see it live on stage. Okay. So what do you think? How do you interpret this?
Look, I'm an optimistic person. So I am taking from this that the vast majority is willing to play along with this mindset. So I am absolutely super happy that almost 40% agree that this is the way to go. But also there's this, the last, the one that won. It means that EIT Culture and Creativity is aligned with the with what the community and the stakeholders are really needing and are really showing the way toward a different way. Anyway, we can fail. That was one of the things that was in the previous question, the ability to fail and try again. So it's absolutely. It fills me with joy and with hope, the fact that you are sharing as well these values.
This is great. Patricia for president. Yes. No, really. No, I like this. Do something. Because, it's like these conferences, I mean, it's all great, right? And we learned a lot, and some people shared on stage, but everybody had great talks on the lunch and etc. So now, what are you going to do with this? What are you going to bring back to your cities, to your regions? How are you going to continue and nurture the contacts, the new contacts you were saying that you made before? So that it is like collaboration. You wanted collaboration, make the collaboration, So this is what we would like to have. So do we have a last question for them, or what do you think?
We could put the last one, which is actually the first one. It's the first one. So we want to test.
We want to test.
We want to test if anything has changed from the first slide question.
Yeah, okay.
Second. So can you please, guys, put the last question?
Yes.
Now it's the last one.
Yeah. So we take a risk, right, that nothing changed. Or maybe it's getting worse.
Or maybe it's getting worse, yes.
Well, it means that then we need you as president even more, because you're the optimistic one and they're not. Let us see. So can we have the last question as a test, as the first question? How are you feeling now about the future of European culture and creativity? Are we going to thrive after this conference?
I will say, AC, while people respond to this, that it's fun, you know?
Yeah.
We would have loved to people sharing all your ideas and experiences, but, you know, courage is a matter of practice.
Exactly.
So we will expect from you the next events, and when we have online communities, that you vocalize and be open and show us what you want us to be as well, because we are here listening. That was another of the words coming up in the work lab. We are ready and we are prepared to listen. So we need you to speak out.
Exactly. I love your optimism, actually.
You know.
That's really great. I'm not necessarily the most optimistic person because I work so much in technology myself, and etc. Sometimes it's fascinating. I was talking at lunch with colleagues, and I'm like between fascination and horror. You know, like you don't know exactly where it's going to land, but it's exciting. And I love the openness, just like, you know, what I was saying to Pierre before about the metaverse and the failing of the metaverse. I'm like, I don't know if it's failing. It's not finished yet, you know? But you're like, let us see what we are doing with this. But anyway, so let us compare the results. Do you have the first results? I mean, I'm not sure we can do this. Was it the how optimistic are you, the first? Yeah. No, our time has finally come. Yes. Intentions are great. Yes. So,
wow, we did have a change.
We did it.
We did it.
Can we have the last results again? That was the first one.
That was the first one.
First ones and second ones, please. Yes. You made it. Woo! I think that's a great way to slowly go to the end, right? To wrap it up. Actually, we are maybe. I mean, I would. May I maybe just say just one or two things before we wrap it up and give the word to Bernd definitely, because Bernd really needs to wrap it up. I just wanted to share something I was listening to before and made a note and a couple of words. And the first thing was like what we heard of Daria. And it was like the trusted community. And I made a note like, if we want to move on, we need this trust and we need this community feeling. Also, something great, which I heard, was like the CCIS are the USP of the European economy. And I think when we compare between, well, two big geopolitical regions like the States and China, I can say indeed we are not badly in a bad position. And I think it is a relevant thing, and leading to diversity and etc. And we need creativity to construct utopia and transformation. And we need to go also far beyond the political and technical. And I think this is a very interesting thing. And also what you were seeing on your slide with like artistic ventures also. So that it's not only political and technical, but also like, let's use the USP of Europe. Of course, I loved that Bernd was already talking about the launch of a digital platform, and I am delighted to hear a little bit more. And then another thing that I wanted to say, because it's not only about what I heard, but I wanted also to ask the audience, just like, you shout me just one word about like something you heard which you found nice, just one word or two or half a sentence, please. We don't even need a microphone. Just share what marked your mind today. Come on. You changed stuff, so something must have happened in your brains today or in your hearts. Co-creation, that's good. What else? Chill. Yes, that's good. And I hear it a lot in conferences about the future. They are the future. Absolutely. Very good point. What else? Yeah, no, all together. So what? Yes, there was a trust. Yes. Positivism. Very good. Patricia.
Yeah. Hi, Liliana.
What else? Come on, a last one. Additional? Yes, skills anyway are super important. And there was somebody else here? Yes? A bit louder for me, please. Yes. Courage takes practice. Do you want to come on stage? No? Ah, come on, show it to all of us. Oh, but that's just a little exercise. Okay. Well, okay, I'm going to take that one and I'm going to come back to you. That's great. Okay, no, that's really good. So, yeah, so I think it's very nice words we heard here. So I think it's a good moment for us to say goodbye.
Yes.
And to bring Bernd back on stage. And now I can say he's not the interim anymore, right?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
See you.
Hold the microphone. You're welcome.
Hello, everybody. Back again. So what a day, huh? What a day. And what a start, what a moonshot. And in fact, we are just launching. The rocket is not built, I think, we all learned today, and we are all building it together. So wrapping up such a conference is, of course, also a moonshot in itself. So I will take a few instances out of our debates here and have a reflection, and then have a few little outlook of what is coming up now in the next months, which is really part of building this rocket we want to launch on. Because this is our startup year. The rocket is not ready. And just to remember you, we said we are a learning organization, so we will do it like a famous billionaire. We build a lot of rockets. We're starting now one. We will see how it works. And obviously, it will not be a perfect one. It will need to be adapted, not only because our partnership is changing and we have internal different interests and needs, but also because the surrounding is changing. And we really have to be careful how we start now, because when we applied for this innovation community, ChatGPT was not in the world. And it would not be a good choice to ignore this new setting around us. So we will have to build our rocket and launch with these new frameworks, and with our colleague in the action program directors, we're already debating what this means. So while having set this wider frame that we will be in many moonshots and rockets, I thought let's have a look first on the presentation of our colleagues from the EIT. And I think it became clear that we on the one side see that the EIT and the public funder obviously has a great expectation on delivery, and right so. And you're all here also because you want to see results. We saw this now also in the slide. Let's see what are the results, what's coming out. But at the same time, many of you, if not all, are also here because you appreciate a freedom to innovate, a space to innovate and to have new ideas, fresh ideas, which you cannot have in your usual settings and organizations, initiatives, work surroundings, what this kick gives you as a value added to innovate. So there is a built-in tension to creating this freedom space for innovation, and on the other hand, keeping the focus to deliver. When we look at the policy round, we saw the very old and inevitable debate popping up again between the immaterial values, the artistic-driven innovation, which is not commercialized, versus the so-called commercialized and impact-driven innovations. You could also say it's the dark side and the light side of power, of art. And those two dual worlds always are in tension also. Teresa especially pointed to topics and projects they're running with art, tech, and science, which reminded me of the next Renaissance. And we also have to see that this built-in tension between the immaterial and the material side of culture cannot be resolved. Rather, we must see this tension, as a kind of spring to launch debates, to fine-tune, to create respect for both sides and understanding, and to make both sides of this coin really thrive on their own rights. Christian Ehler pointed to the fact that this kick is also about the artistic non-profit innovation. And it is no surprise to say that this is quite a new story to the definition of innovation. We all know the innovation definition is coming from the OECD. So this is the global network of all economic national departments, so to speak, on economics. So it's not the cultural departments who have defined innovation. So it comes as no surprise that here in this tension between the immaterial and material, we have to work on a wider framework. And we can say that with Pierluigi and other colleagues here in the room, Lars and Sönke, we are already having our roots created to start negotiations with the OECD to work on this very wide framework, while we have to live with the tension within our consortium. And I really plea and ask and beg and want to motivate you and invite you, wherever these debates come up, to flag them, to have them, not to ignore them. It's extremely important that we take care of these debates and have an open space for this. And I think this built-in attention is something we just have to stand the ground. And maybe we can even offer a new platform of debate which have not been existing so far. Well, and then we had this really great keynote from Manette. I don't know if you're still here. So a great applause and thanks from everybody here, but I think she has left by now. She put this really blunt question, what is wrong and how do we solve it? And of course, it was also about the silos within our sectors. And I think that's also the important message I want to put forward here as a wrap up. It's not only us as a community of innovators, us as an innovation community to point to others, to investors, to policymakers, to create better frameworks, but also to look at our own obligations, what to do to overcome the innovation barriers we have in our own sector. And silo thinking, silo working is also produced by our own sector. And we saw just here on the voting, the topic of ego, of not sharing, of anxiety is, of course, built in our sector. And it's not to be condemned, it's to be recognized and worked with, and also accepted that, of course, there are secrets and strategies one has for themselves, and not everything needs to be shared to be a good collaborative community. So we have to balance this as well. And now seeing these elements, of the EIT, of the policy round, of our NET's review of our sectors, and seeing the tensions inbuilt here, I think it comes maybe not as a surprise. You might remember we applied saying diversity is our DNA. And it would be really amazing if this diversity would not create tension, or you might say friction, or you might say serendipity, or you might say new encounters for things you have not known. So you see there is a very connective line between tensions and new encounters and new values. I truly believe we don't get those new encounters and new values if we don't go out of our own personal comfort zone. And I think everybody of you here is doing this. You have been doing this for many years while we have been applying. So I think thanks from the whole C team, from all engaged here for doing so. And I'm pretty sure we will keep exactly this vibe continuing now as we kind of grow. And with this grow, I want to switch to the outlook. We start now maturing as we are getting our legal structures, getting final staff. We are now creating governances for real. We are moving now from the plans, the words, the concepts to implementing it and really doing it. And that's why I have to say, this Moonshot event was originally planned to be in Košice at the beginning of the end of the year. We were kind of sad it didn't take place. But at that time, we didn't have our legal entities. So then I could have not given you this outlook. Now we have our legal entities and we are really entering into the next phase of of maturity and of the capacity to deliver of what we are doing. And so I'm really happy to see this eagerness to deliver. And yeah, you saw from my pitch at the beginning that we are delivering from the policy club, the investment club. Benjamin is already negotiating concrete investment funds. We hear from many EIT colleagues that we are quick in delivering, but I think we are also good in balancing between the governance, the building of our institution, and the delivery. And while we have been talking today mostly about the delivery, let me give an outlook on what it means for governance. Now, having this governance topic means we have to create two types of governance. One within the ecosystem, this collaborative open ecosystem, and one, of course, the governance in the organization. And it comes as no surprise that they have to be mirroring each other and have to be communicating. The basic model I have in mind to debate and develop with you together this governance is called Teal Organization from Frédéric Laloux, a model of reinventing organizations for ecosystemic surroundings and settings, not necessarily markets, can be all kinds of collaborative settings. So within these governances, we see purpose in an evolution. We all know here we have a purpose which we will promise for the next years. We have a vision, a mission which we all created in our bid. But just because of ChatGPT, but maybe also because of the Ukraine war, we have to be, aware and strong enough to say, let this purpose move forward, let it give room to take an evolution and question ourselves. Of course, not every day, not every second week, but maybe every 2 to 3 years to have a purpose and evolution. At the same time, this governance needs to provide a freedom space within this KIC, for example, in the AP teams or within the strategic topic groups, to innovate, to have crazy ideas. Somebody said it here, to be weird and think what has not been thought before, the flying stone. And I believe our governance has the task to provide you this kind of protected space to think so freely, protected not only from commercialization, but also from immediate delivery, though at the end we have and we will deliver. So I don't think this is a paradox, it belongs together. And of course, it's about keeping scope. Focus on real change. We all know so many projects which are then, just another project and we move on. And this innovation community is about something very different, about not making projects and then moving on to the project, but really empowering our stakeholders to do what they want to do best in innovation and give them a framework to continue this even without our support and help in the future. Of course, continuing doing this means doing a lot. And this is also here in the room. How can this all be handled? How can this complexity be taken care of? And my experience here is you can do all, but you cannot do it at once. We have to align as a partnership what to do when and how to prioritize. And this is part of the next coming months as well, to find these priorities in our diverse governance groups we have. So what kind of leadership is needed? Not leadership only on the C level, but also leadership on our chairs we have with the SDG groups or our AP directors. How can we work in the future? And we will have time to debate that in the future all together. But I think a few elements I want to share where I pretty much believe we share on them. It's quite important to look at partners and also at individuals in our partnership quite as a whole. You have a multifaceted dimension and do different actions in our KIC. So let's have a holistic, empathic view on each of those partners and not just take them, for one strategic objective or for one strategic topic group. Then we would have just another silo view on our partners. The next key principle, I think, is really that we need to decentralize decisions, calling for a lot of self-management. We are kind of testing this in the strategic topic groups now, and it seems to work quite well, especially while delivering also on focus. We will see how this works in September, October, then we might have to readjust this governance, but this key element of empowering our partners and giving them a space to decide is a key principle of the last 6 months. And we saw how you eagerly took this up. You know, we have more than 150 people active in all our governance groups and still focused and managed. And last but not least, a governance principle, quite complex and difficult, but it needs to be, you know, spelled out as an aim, creating an ecosystem where we want to motivate to innovate in an open, trustful way needs to create incentives which are not conflicting, which are no paradoxes. And we all know from experiences, not only with the EIT, but with policy on local and national level, this is not an easy task. A lot of boundaries and demands are conflicting, and we should really have a look how to overcome this. So last but not least, coming back a little bit more closely from the governance to the Moonshot, you know, the rocket we are now launching. And here we will see quite soon our moonshot of the of our calls out, you know, and I know some of you have been even typing here on the calls and applications, and in a few days the calls are closed, and then the evaluations will start. And of course, not everybody will receive funding out of this first call. So this first rocket, which is launching, will also create disappointments. And we have to all take care that this is not leading to disengagement. So we have to really openly speak about then expectations and improving our processes. And please understand that this innovation community is also there to really then debate about those disappointments. Quite differently from other funding programs where you just get a no, you get, you know, your report from the evaluators, what you can do better. But here with this innovation community, we want to form a family to then iterate and do the next round of calls better, or to take in different aims. And we're getting feedback from you already on how to improve our calls. And just to reassure you, this rocket is not flying just straight its way, but it's listening and learning on the way. And this learning on the way also relates to another topic we just had here in the debate, how to balance the ego and the ecosystem. And of course, in organizational theory, this is a big topic. This is not a new topic. And we will actively take care of balancing ego-driven interests, rightly driven ego interests, and the interest of the whole ecosystem. And now, you know, you can have lectures and you can invite scientists to speak on it, but I think there is a really easy thought model to understand how the ego and the ecosystem work together at best. And this is just thinking of the cake as a bakery. You know, we are baking a cake together and we are baking it bigger than ever before. And by this, the cake, the benefits for all will grow just as the benefits for the ego will grow. So it's not a paradox if we understand that it's necessary to improve your benefit and the benefit for all, then we will balance the ego and the ecosystem and create a learning organization. And if you're interested in this kind of thought models which are behind this outlook, please have a look at the theory of learning organizations of Peter Senge from the EIT Sloan School of Management. The United Nations and many other global organizations are using those thought models to tackle exactly those topics, which rightly came up here. And so the moonshot we are doing is in fact a moonshot for the sector, for the expectation of policies, but be also reassured it's also about a moonshot how you find your best place in our ecosystem and our organization. So with this wrap up, enjoy the day. Thanks for being here.
Bernd, I have to tell you something. It's the first time in my hosting time where I am going on stage where somebody is announced on the slide and the title is changing at the end of the conference. So congratulations to you. Yeah, no, we don't have the interim anymore. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who has been here on stage, the keynote speakers, the panelists, of course, the chairs who have been also moderating these. And of course, thanks to the tech team for making this also happen and handling. Thanks to the online audience. I don't know if you're still there, but you made it. Thanks to have been with us and answering with us and being part of this experience. Thanks to Patricia and your fantastic team and your fantastic work. That was great. And see you soon to practice
No. Please, a big applause. Here.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I really love this, as you said, no, don't move. And you all didn't move. It worked. And I will keep that. And yeah, it works.
But I hope to see all of you. It was a great community feeling here. And let us practice this courage muscle against the ego system and make this collaborative, I hope, in the next events. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.